Hello and welcome to all. I hope that you are having a blessed and lovely start to your day, or that it's going to get better. So today, this is the Daily Dharma. My name's Dina, and today with our Daily Dharma channeled messages preceding the cards, we're looking at what I'm calling the expression of our personal alchemy versus the interference patterns that persist in our life. And what I'm talking about there is that for some reason, there's this lingering pattern that people will deal with again and again in their lives. For all of us, we will always have some little tingling sense of obligation to others and some sense of fear of uncertainty and some sense of self-doubt in the application of our will. I say everybody, but however conscious we are of that can be different from conscious level to consciousness level. So here we have several new opportunities arising for us. Perhaps right now we've already gotten several invitations or opportunities that have found their way to us, or things that we're thinking about, new ideas that we're excited about. And these are opportunities to infuse our own alchemy, our own individual specific gifts and talents and skills, something about the essence of who we are. To infuse that into these opportunities or invitations is really going to help us move through this next level. How this has been seeming to me is that the universal forces are somewhat gathering in intensity throughout this summer, trying to really help us to dig deep and to express more of ourselves and more of our gifts in our daily lives. So there's a difference between when we are doing things that light us up, that instill a sense of innocence, curiosity, restoring that childlike spark, that playfulness, humor. Feels good. It feels like we could almost do it all day without becoming tired, versus when we are engaged in things that are taking us somewhat away from our essence, or service is great, but when we're taking time, energy, and attention away from self-development of our skills and gifts and talents that are meant and needed and necessary in this world, when we're taking time away from those pursuits and assisting others with things that are not as infused with that personal alchemy, we will become very aware of the difference of how that feels when we're not lit up with the connection to our activities, where the heart and the mind and the hands are all doing different things. It's like maybe your heart really wants to be engaged in the calling, the passion, the purpose, and then the mind is, then the hands are doing something different. So there's those two layers between what we're doing and what we're feeling and needing. And then the mind is trying to resolve the difference between that misunderstanding. So when we're lit up with passion, we're very connected to self, to source, and to others. So anything worth doing is worth doing well. And anything that we can do well, that we've chosen to engage in, is made so much more miraculous when we can infuse our gifts into that moment. So if you're doing something, can you infuse it with this other element of self? Or is this something that you need to withdraw your time, energy, and attention from at some level, even if it's like you're doing this job, and you have to do this job for now for whatever reason. Apologize about the road noise. Pole barn's wide open because it's a beautiful day. um, but at night when you're at home, don't bring the job home with you and the stresses of that, which is almost impossible to do when we're so engaged with being caught up in our hardworking mentality, in our urge to create and manifest and experience and serve other individuals and serve situations. To do it well, we want to give more, but we feel like we're somehow weighing some scales. So there's a counterbalance needed in our own lives, where then do we have enough energy left over to really engage in something that we do want to develop for ourselves or for the world in our own free time, spare time? Is there spare you in that time? uh I'll skip over that one. So there's this new phase of channeling, both channeling the gifts that are you through your hands into your sacred work or into any type of a service act that you're performing. And with this, perhaps I was also getting that perhaps at a previous stage or age or chapter of your life, you were quite connected and able to engage in those things. But for whatever reason, many of us are in a situation or have different situations presenting in our lives that are taking more attention away from that. And so there's been this longing for that feeling that we used to get through doing this thing. And so this new phase of channeling, it's not the same as that, but it will provide a similar, even greater experience of fulfillment and restoration and replenishment as we gain more momentum and save our energy back for that, to create more balance in our lives. So there's going to be new symbols presented, new light languages, or new symbols. Is symbols are language, symbols are experience. And if you see a child laughing, that can be a symbol for something quite more pronounced than that. If you see um, birds dancing and doing, their little ritual, this can be a symbol. So the world speaks to us through these symbols, but there's something even greater, perhaps, that we're seeing within a vision or a dream that is becoming something it's a new key. It's like being given a key, but we don't yet understand which door that it opens. Uh, and that may be because of the various gateways and previous timelines that are still, multiples are in operation. And I feel like we've got to kind of close some of those doors to bring back ourselves into this moment, into this now, and to then see which doors are left untapped, which ones are still calling us forward. And then we can try our key at those new doorways, those new opportunities and adventures that are calling to us, and see which ones suit us, which this new key to my thriving is going to be met with an opportunity that rises up and connects and has a sense of belonging and passionate initiative here. So through this, we're moving from our healing phase. It's like we had that phase where we were highly attuned. And then the more that we rise up, the more that we have to heal and resolve, and situations arise that bring about more healing. So I'm sensing that there's this completion. It was coming through within the last month that we've been completing that cycle, but here it is. We're really pulling back our resources, gathering ourselves here from that healing phase that took us outside of the self to get more experience. And now this phase is moving into a phase of greater teaching and self-expression, meeting and matching up energies. And so we're going in the next little over a month from the time of this filming, we're going to be hitting our next Mercury retrograde phase. And so right now, Mercury has just overtaken and has passed the, has it yet? I think it has. Anyways, it is about to, if it has not, I'll just reference really quick for those that would like to know. Today, the sun is roughly between about the 20th degree of Gemini, and Mercury is 14. So it's right there. So this is where, I believe it's called Kazemi, where the ideas and the identity become kind of enmeshed and commingled, and we can start to let our ideas get away from us in some type of a way. And so I think that it's also a very important time to recognize spontaneous insights and information and symbols and such that are coming through, because what we're doing now when Mercury goes beyond the sun is that it's no longer tethered with the same amount of self-doubt. Mercury is more fearless as it goes through the face of the sun, but our ideas can be commingled with our identity. So if somebody says, oh, that's a terrible idea, then we can almost be crushed because we feel like that idea defines us when it does not. It's just another testing phase, how we test out our keys, how we test out our ideas. And so at this time, it's an incredible phase of ideation, manifestation through envisioning, vision questing in a proactive sense. Some of us will gain incredible insight by just letting the mind be silent and letting the divine speak through us. Other people may choose to use their masculine energetic side to proactively envision, like, okay, what's going right with my life right now? What do I really enjoy? And what do I really long to put more energy into? And don't go too into specifics to where the details start to inhibit the sense of expansion. So I enjoy feeling that there's some meaningful service that I'm offering to people on the energetic planes versus, let's say, gardening. This is kind of where I've been putting my energy. And I can understand the layers that I'm offering to people through my engagement and through the gardening process. However, I want to do those things here at my place and develop this homestead. So in your own life, it's like, however the call is coming through, the big underlying factor for myself is I want to bring things here. This is the where. It's like the who, what, where, when, how. If you can divine any one of those, build upon that. So my is the where and the what and how I want to do this. It's already in process, but I'm finding that I could do this all day if I were here in my own energy. But when I take myself outside of this, I become depleted. And then when I come back, there's not as much energy, right? So through your vision, you can kind of project yourself forward on the timeline and say there are multiple things that I could and would be doing at different stations along potential timelines in my life and in my where and how. And what is that going to look like? What is that going to feel like when I have things set up and I invite people in to connect with what I have created? Who are the people and the players that are going to want to come in and support and engage with that energy that has been created? Who wants to co-create that vision with you? And so taking yourself for a moment and just taking your vision to the inner landscape of your deepest dreams of how you would engage your alchemical gifts into the service that you really want to create. And it can even be big, like maybe you want to create an entire institution with employees and management and um, people coming and going and staying and learning and whatever. Maybe you want to travel with people. Maybe you want to go and travel by yourself and have adventures, and meet new people or be by yourself. What are the things that are calling you forward? And speak to this future timeline and future expression of self and say, what are the things that I need to know in order to cross the threshold into this moment? Show me how I get there, and call me forward. Show me signs and synchronicities that I can easily understand and follow the guidance to make it to that end point. So this is going to help us manifest the life that we really desire, and that really sparks the soul and replenishes us. And so the interference patterns can be the inner doubt and resistance, the fears of uncertainty, or the fear of needing the job for the money, versus the thought in the creational ideal of how can I create passive income through the things that are calling me forward, through the things that also are wanting my service. If you have a service or a skill, if you have these elements of your personality that are perfectly you, these are things that can be leveraged for energetic exchange, such as barter and buy-in and money. You can get paid to develop yourself. You can get paid to help people to understand their own journey, or to speak your healing language and light language out into the world. Um, so it's going to take closing some of the doors on the demands upon our time, energy, and attention that aren't serving the law of attraction, and calling forward the things that we are calling in for self, because we are very powerful in our energy. When we point our attention and focus and alchemy towards something, such as, either our job or our interactions with one individual, whether they're inspiring or challenging, that energy grows exponentially because of the extreme powerful connection that we have with source, with self, and with our environment. We are plugged in so many powerful ways that when we are distracted by these interference patterns or fears or anything else, we're really pointing ourselves in a direction where we're of two minds. Our layered reality, like our hands are really pointing here, our heart is not pointing there. And so the mind has the mixed message, like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff, but I wish I was doing this over here. And so here it's like, we can be even more powerful if we can point all of our attraction points in a singular direction. And I know that we are multi-dimensional, and so we can point in multi directions at once. But if all of these things are serving one endpoint, it's like when we can find the common thread between those, we can string them into every little step that we take is still a step towards the end point. It's like a dance. When we start and when we end, we can twist and turn and go forward, back, side to side, and twist and pirouette or whatever you might be doing in your little dance. But ultimately, it's like there's a beginning and there's an end. There's I think you understand what I'm getting at here. So through the capacity that we have and our ability to persevere, we can really be pointing that powerful, loving self. The essence of spirit and love is pointed and manifesting, versus if we are in some type of doubt, resistance, or survival mode, then we're operating more from the fear end of the spectrum. It's like that whole love versus fear. It might sound cheesy, but it's so incredibly centering when we can ask those critical questions of how we're spending and serving. So when we rebalance towards self-development, reciprocal exchanges on the energetic level, where we're setting up limits and boundaries with individuals and saying, hey, I've recognized that I have this gift that you can utilize and that you have this skill that I could really use. Do you want to exchange something here? Type of a thing, instead of like feeling like I spent all day toiling or working for this institution that isn't aligned with my core values, so to speak, in many situations. And so I feel depleted. So that tells me that the money I'm getting through that, or whatever I'm getting through that, is not enough to restore what has been spent on that endeavor. And that tells me that I need to either get more from that exchange, or I need to pull back more of myself from that, or that I need to balance myself in other areas of my life. So more attention being given to the miraculous, to the adventurous nature, and keying into what makes us happy now, what's going right for us now, and to develop those gifts through healthy outlets at 2222. I have a few cards laid out here, and we're already running low on time, but we have here things are about to get really juicy. And that always reminds me of like a romantic invitation. But I think that it's by really putting our full self and our full capacity to self develop something very meaningful. Things are about to crack open, for instance, by us pulling back our resources from something that doesn't serve any longer. And this could even be for some. Ideas of nostalgia of, oh, it used to be so good, but that was good for that previous incarnation, that previous version of self, that previous timeline. This timeline isn't that timeline. We cannot go back to the past. And so longing for the past is a misunderstanding that longing is here to create a quest for more in the future. We can call bigger, better, faster, more into our lives. Give yourself much more credit. So, like in the instance of the individuals that will long for somebody that they used to be in relationship for, and oh yeah, those were the days. But were you to go back and try this again, I would surmise that most people, like 99.9%, would say, oh, well, maybe I was just looking at everything that was good about that. In the distance helped me to forget everything that was amiss with that situation. And were we to go back to that situation, all of those other things that don't serve would come to our attention. So giving yourself more credit in this situation is like, that would no longer serve you. You are already more advanced. You are more spiritually evolved, and you're more conscious. You're more effervescent, whatever that means. That just popped in. But you need more than what you have been receiving, and we can gift it to ourselves by by pulling back in some way. Most people are just trying to survive, that survival mode. And we've gotten into that as well. But most people that we're connecting with, it's like sometimes I get into the mode where I love to serve everyone, right? But it's very fulfilling to give somebody a fish, but it's so much more fulfilling to give somebody a fishing pole, as that old saying goes. And so if we can help an individual that's toxic, so to speak, to witness themselves, that's like giving them a fish for that moment, perhaps. But when we can go and engage with people that are at our level of consciousness, and we can um, exchange information, knowledge, and skills and inspiration, and giving each other new symbols, that's like giving somebody a fishing pole, where these individuals are able to then go out and touch 100 people because they have a pole, and now they've got 100 fish and 100, that number is arbitrary, but it's like being able to stop diving so deeply to bring people up that are bottom feeders. I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but to come up into the sun where we automatically belong, and then connecting with the individuals up there so that we can maybe fish from the surface, and maybe we can hook one of those people and lift them up and bring them up to the shore. But I think you understand where we're going here. So there's a survival mechanism, and we're serving people in a way that we could do even better if we were willing and able to recognize where we are needing to serve the self faster, first, foremost, prioritizing self-healing and moving beyond where we've been. Deep diver, diving into a task. This is us putting our hands into something and really recognizing how we can make our contributions exponential by pointing our fullness and full capacity and perseverance towards something that really lights us up, something really exciting and juicy to sink our teeth into, like that, like a fresh, ripe peach is so it's so satisfying. I don't know if you don't like peaches, something else. Uh, and then we have medicine wheel. This is again about healing and connectivity and bringing the fullness of self online, whatever totem animals that you've experienced recently. I know this morning I've already seen 2 hummingbirds, and day before yesterday when I was heading out, I saw a hawk, a male hawk, gorgeous, beautiful, right next to the side of the road, 2 doors down from where I live, just standing there. And he looks at me and I looked at him, and we passed by, connecting eyes. It was a great spiritual experience. It was great. We have 2, beloved, radical acceptance, and I want to say radical self-acceptance, of understanding that something isn't serving, something doesn't quite feel right. And on the other side, empty well, time to replenish. So you are this beloved. It's like that same imagery from the other day, diving through the portal of the inner self. It's like the core of self is source, spirit, God, goddess. And when it's like we get to the bottom of our well, we can dive through the eye of the needle within the self and replenish the self by envisioning what it is that we are really trying to get at, and leaving behind survival mode for excitement and spontaneity, playfulness, and what it would look like if we were to envision ourselves thriving. Does it look like sitting on the couch in front of the TV? Probably not. That's just survival mode, and we can live vicariously through characters in TV world, but that's not going to really satisfy the soul's questing and curiosity as much as as living those things firsthand and engaging with the environment and others that are where we're at. You know, when we engage with those that are at a different, lower consciousness level, it's satisfying and fulfilling in certain ways, but it doesn't always give us as much inspiration as somebody who's seen things that we have not seen. I mean, everybody's seen things we haven't seen, but you get where I'm going. So where we put our energy, where we point our powerful energy, is the difference of how much we want from the journey, I want to say. So we've got this empty well on one side of our journey here, where we're engaged with this medicine wheel here. Do you see the embrace here of all that you are and all that's calling you forward? And then the journey is like, how much do you want from the journey? Do you want this empty well, or do you want to dive into your passions, your skills, the things that make you incredible, the things that make you a miracle in the lives of all that you touch and all that you see? So give yourself more credit. You are worth more than something that has occupied too much of your time. And it's time to be more mindful with your energies than being full of mind thought. So let's get just a couple code cards while we finish up here. All right. We're getting passion. Absolutely. Oh, and did I show you that Vision Quest was on the bottom of the deck here after I had already done the channeling? Vision Quest. It's like breaking through the ribbon at the end of the race. Underneath we have throat chakra, soul time, and authority. So being your own authority, connecting with your future self through that soul time is going to help you to express your truth. Third eye chakra, yes, use your vision and insight to powerfully break through. It is going to create a physical change in your body through the emotional resonance that is being able to take up residence in your being. Two more if we can. I see Gaia here. Prosperity, I love seeing that. And tantric journey. Through this infusion of your journey, you are serving the earth. It's like that whole exchange, like carbon dioxide to oxygen. It's the same thing with the energetic exchange with the earth and the collective. It's like our prosperity lies through the center of that portal as we dive through all that we are and point our powerful energy towards the center. That's where our masculine and feminine come deeply online and start unlocking something quite powerful for us. Yes, right order. All right, we're out of time here. I'll take that one. Integrity. Yes, getting ourselves back to integrity here is going to unlock this as well. And let's see. Oh, my ruby tower just tipped over. Life is better together. Get back out there, connect with like-minded individuals, but still maintain your separate sense of self. Seek assistance from your community. Connect with family, friends, or others who will support you. It can be as simple as making a phone call. Persistent drive. I heard dive. See what you desire and